I'm Timmy.
I'm Justin.
And I'm Nathan.
And this is Three Old Tech Dudes. What's up, boys? How you doing? Long time no speak.
No, not really.
Yeah.
Just long time no record.
That's right. Long time
Yeah,
no
that
caught
is true.
on video as a group. So
Yeah. So we all pretty much talk every day.
Yeah,
true.
yeah. We're the sanity relief for each other.
We really are friends in real life.
yeah,
Yeah.
no joke. Yeah.
We're-
It's not like the Mythbusters where they actually like hated each other or something. So
that was so bizarre. Yeah.
Adam didn't like Jamie much, or they didn't like working together. That's
Yeah,
Adam's
I
always
think
saying
they
it.
did.
well, it's
did
kind
at
of
first,
funny
but-
now when they talk about it now. They have that whole "I've got to respect the other person" attitude.
Yeah. But it's like,
yeah.
at the same time, they're like, we're pretty happy to not work with each other anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like, man,
Yeah.
who'd thought? Who could dislike Jamie with his cool hat?
I know, right?
Well, and he was from Indiana too. So I mean, come on.
Was he? I actually did not know that.
Yeah. It's from
Oh, well,
Columbus.
I think I actually do remember that
Or
fact
born
now that
in
you
Indiana
mentioned
or
it.
something,
But
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
one of those that.
He was born and grew up only like a couple hours from us here.
Oh, neat.
So
Not even that far. Most Columbus, an hour and a half here.
Now look, boys, we've been at this
we are already
45 seconds, and
yeah,
this train has
I've
already
got
derailed.
like half of it off. Anyway, so we gather here today to mourn the loss of the ARRL's Logbook of the World and other services.
Where did it go?
Well, it seems last Thursday, as of this recording. And as of today, several days later, let's see, Thursday was 4 days ago, right? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 5 days ago.
Yeah.
This is Tuesday,
Yeah.
random Tuesday in May 2024. Logbook of the World is still offline. Let me show you this. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Sorry.
I was able to pull
You
it
know
up
how to
finally.
computer?
I don't apparently know how to Google Meet. We need to invest in real software.
Nah.
Because we don't do this a lot this way. I mean, we've done it a couple times, but last time we did it with Zoom, I think. Ooh, pretty.
What's going on?
Oh yeah. Essentially, it's their version of
they have
down
a-
detector.
And they have one on the site, and it's the only thing that works on that URL.
Yeah, that's it. That is it,
Oh,
too. And it
look
just
at
saying
that.
we're down.
It's
Hey, there's an awful lot of red there at the end.
it's been
Yeah.
down since May 15th. And the reason it's a big deal is some of the guys who are really into logging, which I am one with FT8 and ham radio stuff.
Yep.
You know,
This is a problem.
this is not cool. Logbook has its problems. Logbook is kind of ghetto technically. It's been around a long time. Yeah,
I kind
kinda
of like it first.
has a strange method. Yeah, Nathan has some real
I
feelings
don't
about
use
it.
it either, so.
I do use it, but I can't use it right now. Obviously, I could still log. I've not operated since it went down, but it's a situation. We don't need ads. Stop that.
Yeah.
There's this article was from the 19th, but it is still down today. So the ARRL warned that they'd suffered a cyber attack, which disrupted some of its systems, and not really worth sharing, but the QRZ forums, which are always an interesting source of drivel and randomness and conversations, make me want to claw my own eyes out. But there's at least one guy who says he's actually been on site. He at first said, well, I had a Windows update that went bad. That seems a little unlikely. Windows updates don't take all your stuff down for days.
Bag up Windows.
And yeah, that brought up you ought to use Linux for everything. I'm like, yeah, well, anyone who's actually in IT knows Windows is pretty reliable nowadays. It's not Windows XP days anymore, guys. So.
Yeah, well, if this is what I think actually happened, it wouldn't matter. It hit Linux just as hard because it doesn't hit the OS.
Mm-hmm. Another thing I've seen, which does lend credence, is there was one comment in those forums that mentioned they had went and worked W1AW this past weekend.
Yep.
They weren't allowed to turn any of the computers on you can usually use for logging.
Oh.
To me, that hints of ransomware.
Yes. Ransomware.
We have your files.
Yes, we want
Mhm.
money from
So-
you. Send us Bitcoin.
So,
Well,
yeah.
and
What are your
by
thoughts, boys?
so I have their, which is very hard to see. I have their actual thing pulled up on my phone right now. Their statement. I finally found it. I've been like reading everyone else's copy. Finally found a link to it. It's buried too. I hate when they do that. But so the thing that makes me in the second statement, I think it is. No, it's the first statement. The second statement, they're just talking about, we don't think it. In the second question, so the first statement is saying we're down, we got hacked. The second statement essentially says we don't believe they actually stole anything, or if they did, it was all public information, which is probably mostly realistic. Although I have seen one of the guys say this, and you should, if you use the same password for them as you do for, God forbid, your bank, go change that password now.
Right. Yeah.
Seriously.
This video sponsored by absolutely no one.
No. So
That
a
would have been a heck
little
of a segue,
history.
though.
Yeah. So but the statement that they made where they're worried about different, go back to the first one, go back, where they were talking about services, just Logbook or ARRL Learning Center affected. Please note we're restoring access to our highest priority. We're blah, 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 blah. Anyway, it's mostly just lawyer speak, but they called it in process responding to a serious incident involving access to our network and headquarters based systems. So I'm thinking that access may not be like someone accessed it as much as they no longer have access to it, which would be ransomware, or sometimes called a crypto attack, various things like that. And just for the record, I actually have my Security Plus, and I do that kind of stuff kind of for a living as well as a lot of other things. So yeah, it's a little speculation, but the wording in this is obviously written by lawyers.
Yeah. That is worth noting. We are, those who aren't normally part of the channel, and we have audiences in all sorts of different technical groups due to all the things we cover on the channel. We are all three in the IT field in various capacities and have worked with these things. And in some cases, we fought these same sort of situations, and it's a big pain.
Oh my!
I think it's a little strange that Logbook's been off so many days. That indicates to me there's some real destruction, or recovery has become a challenge.
Well, my theory is this. So they get hit with, here's my theory. It's strictly speculation, but since they've put out like no information essentially other than those 2 paragraphs effectively, my guess is they got hit with crypto attack. Their backups were either non-existent or essentially dead, which could be,
Depends on what their retention policy is.
If they have one.
If they have one, but if they have one, but their retention is only like, I don't know, a week or two, and then those backups may not be any good.
Or if those are not even offline. If they're online backups, those could have actually been encrypted through crypto attack.
Or if there's backups at all.
Yeah. Also, if no one knows, a crypto attack is simply this: someone gains access to your computer through whatever. Could be any suspicious email or whatever, but they get into your computer, and essentially there's a little program that runs that takes all your files, not the operating system, because it doesn't want to crash your OS. It has no desire to do that. It's not what it wants. They want money. That's their primary thing, is money. So what they do is they then take all your files, like your Word documents, your videos and stuff like this, and encrypt them, and they have the key, and they make you pay them for that key to decrypt and get all your files back. That's what crypto attack is simply, and they usually want it in like Bitcoin or some variation like that. So the problem is that those things, they propagate through network very quickly, and they just encrypt everything in a blanket as much as physically possible. And that's kind of what a crypto attack is.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
Most of the time, sadly enough, the only way to deal with this, if you don't have good backups, is to pay it. And that is sad and that is sick. But
yeah,
unfortunately, the reality is, sadly enough, crime pays. It shouldn't at all, because a lot of people
that case
get hurt. But it probably will, and it usually does. Sadly enough, crypto attacks almost always get paid.
I don't know. I don't know about this one though, because I mean, it's not like we're dealing with a multi-billion-dollar company or anything.
Well, that's just it. Like they're not going to get millions. They don't have it.
That's the thing. It's not. They can't pay even if they were willing. Which, I mean, I would argue that you should just take it on the chin, basically. Whatever data you lost, because I kind of have that belief of if you pay it, you just further the crime, or you
certainly embolden the criminal. So
I would just say whatever data you lose, no matter how important it is, and you just go on with life.
Yeah.
But
if you have backups, you can get around that. So that's we always like every time we talk to someone that we work with or we work, to help do whatever. We help a few other places occasionally. We always tell them, have your backups, make sure they're offline backups, or
3, 2, 1, man. 3, 2, 1.
Yep.
Yeah.
So sadly enough, there's a lot of places that don't.
Yeah.
I want to be mean here for just a second. Can I be mean?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. Buckle up, internet. Get ready to flame us in those comments. We have a group. We have a group of people losing their mind over this, and this group of people's motto literally is, "When all else fails."
That ham radio doesn't. Well, guess what?
Well, and the ham radio still works.
The ham radio still works, because the ham radio is kind of irrelevant. But
so here's the trick with ham radio, and I said this in a text to someone today, and I thought it was. See, okay, I want to say something right now. Somehow our YouTube channel became known as a ham radio channel. It's not a ham radio channel. It's a. We didn't know what we were toying with the last 5 years, but it was okay. These get views, so we made some more antenna videos, and then
I like making those. So,
I do. Well, sometimes
I also
I don't
do
make a bunch anymore.
Yeah.
See, we want to do more of that. We want to do our interests because, if we were going to be viral 5 years ago, we would have more than 2,500 subs in, year 5. But so we'll just take what we get, and if you like it, that's great. Some of you will watch whatever we put up, we know. But
and usually laugh. Usually laugh at us, or they catch us later. Hi, Dan.
The ham radio community, the ham radio community is sometimes challenging for me because it's kind of gatekept. That's kind of a modern term. It's gatekept by because we have this whole culture of listen to your Elmers and train, and they'll tell you what to do and not do, and you're a lid if you don't do this, and it's kind of outdated, I'm afraid. So the issue that we run into is we have guys who believe they are very skilled and intelligent in all things technical, not just ham radio, yet they think the marquee tag in Netscape is still the coolest thing they ever saw in HTML, and they stopped learning that. So
I like iframes. Come on.
So what we're running into is it's been rumored, and I don't know much, but I see a lot of things like the ARRL's Logbook of the World guy retired 5 years ago, and they never got another one. Their CIO quit because of disagreement with the head guy, so they don't have an IT department, guys.
I kind of don't think.
And we're talking about an organization that's supported by only around 814,000 ham radio licensees in the U.S., and half of those people aren't doing anything. So so let's divide that by 2, and then a percentage of that are who's paying for the ARRL's existence. So they might be a little bit up a creek unless somebody just jumps in, but I hope they'll get it taken care of. Logbook has become quite a cog in the confirmation wheel. But then I see other hams on QRZ forums saying things like, well, that's just why I use the QRZ logbook. It never goes down. I'm like, well, honestly, logbook has only went down once or twice since 2005. It's been very reliable considering the circumstances.
Actually, if you bring that one thing back up, there are blips before. Not much. They were probably
it's been down occasionally.
Yeah, and it's probably
stuff, but they never went down hard like this very often.
Yeah, no.
QRZ could go down too. Anything could. That's what I understand. People don't have a balanced view.
I mean,
all or nothing with these fellas.
Let's not forget.
I say that
it's been less than a year that Facebook went down, and I mean, when you compare the size of Facebook to the ARRL, I mean, it's not even like it dwarfs it so much.
Well, Facebook, that was only a couple of months ago.
Yeah,
it wasn't very long ago.
Yeah, because we retreated to Discord, if you recall.
Yes, for a bit we did.
We're like, we can't talk to each other. Discord. Yeah, like. Most people just text.
We're kind of like a board collective, the three of us.
A little bit.
I like the laser eyeball.
So at risk of being called the three
my.
talking heads and all the names we get called, which just gets more amusing with time. We actually have
I
mostly
don't care.
positive folks, but I really don't anymore. I used to
Nah.
kind of care, but
I never did care.
You can say whatever they want to. I really
they
don't
can,
care.
you know,
Yeah,
engagement's engagement, as they say.
it really is too. That's the funny thing.
You know, I hope they get things online, but I think it's kind of concerning that I believe you can't log into the ARRL.org right now, even though their main site does come up.
Yeah, main site does come up.
Logbook's down, their education center stuff isn't working, but I hope they can recover it because, like,
So,
I don't
what do
think they have the resources to rebuild Logbook if it were
Oh,
gone.
I doubt it. In fact, if they can't probably recover from a quick backup, which so I
People
don't know
around
what
the world
I
use Logbook. That's how
well,
crazy
yeah,
it is.
and I'm not sure what kind of database they're running. I mean,
Couldn't tell you.
what was
the
popular in 1995?
Well, it was like
Fox Pro.
2005. but still.
It's Fox Pro.
It's running Access.
It's Access. It's
Oh,
running
that's
Access
terrible.
95.
I would cry.
It
No,
loves Access.
Access could not handle the amount of traffic that's doing. I'm assuming they're using like an MS SQL. I mean, it could be
I
Oracle.
think that may be what it was. I don't think it's
but
Oracle. It's ARRL.
I doubt it's Oracle.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oracle
They
paid me
keep
pretty
talking
good.
like it's Windows servers, but I don't know what the infrastructure was. I never paid attention to Logbook to check. So,
Well, and you, I mean,
what it
you
was
could
running
find
on.
out. You could look at the HTML code and probably find out. But
Not right now.
not now. No. Now it's running wannabe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Way
I'm just
back
reading-
machine, man.
Yeah, exactly. Go back to way back. See if you can input data of like like
Yeah,
a
pretty
year
good idea.
Yeah, it's the way it reads though. And I mean, I guess it could be doing this. I don't know why you would separate or why you would not separate out Logbook from like sales and such.
Because cost.
Well, yeah, but that's like not.
Yes, I understand. It's not best practice, but I guarantee you it was probably, if that is the case, then it was cost.
Well, yeah, I hate. Yeah. Well, okay. So the three of us work in pretty high end industries, I guess you could say.
True.
And the cost of
believe it or
different.
not,
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah. We actually do things that are pretty cool sometimes.
we
So
actually make a lot of money too. So there.
yeah.
I'm making a lot of money. How about,
Well-
what the heck? I feel like I'm getting ripped off.
That's all right.
You know,
I
Take
don't
your
make a
skills
lot of
somewhere else if
money.
you get ripped off.
I guess so. Like, I need one of them jobs that gets me a lot of money.
LinkedIn's your friend.
come over and work with my group. Anyway, we have money. No, it's just one of those things. It's like, separating out your databases is not that hard. It's usually easier.
Yeah.
But it's hard telling what they've done. With the fact that they're talking about, so LOTW is down, which obviously means the database or something on it got compromised. And then they're also talking about like worrying about member database only contains public available information like name, address, call sign, along with ARRL specific like email preferences and membership dates. I'm actually kind of concerned that passwords that's actually someone else's concern too, the passwords. I'm really hoping they understand how hashing works and use a hashing for passwords and
Clear
not
text,
actually
clear
keep.
text.
No, God, I hope not. It's like, no, you hash the password. So SHA-256 does, or just, Diffie-Hellman and a bunch of the other things. Build your stuff so it keeps the hash. So if the hash gets hacked or found, it's useless. It means nothing.
Sure.
Right? It's just a number. That's basically
Pretty long number too. Have you ever looked at those things?
Oh yeah, they're like 9 lines long, but it's still kind of like, it's just a number that's a numerical representation of the added up data of your password run through a bunch of things and stuff like that. So it can't be taken the other way. They take that that information, that hash, which is just a big long scribble of characters, take the password you put in when you log in, and it hashes it and goes, are these the same? Yes, great, you're here. If not, try again.
Right.
And that way, they're not storing passwords. I'm hoping that is how their system worked.
Yeah, I'd say it is. I do know they use a third-party provider for most of their logins. They have stated more or less in their statements along the lines that they're working with their third-party contractor or vendor to do it, which indicates they don't have a lot of expertise in-house. I don't. They may have a very small office. I mean, this may be like mom and pop like and a couple servers. I mean, and that's pretty easy to kill everything.
Oh yeah. Well, from the pictures I've seen of their entire facility, it's not huge.
No, it's not very big. But I mean, I'm not knocking anyone working on this. If anybody sees that,
no,
I mean, I know it's hard work.
They are.
It's not going to be. It's going to be a whole different thing if there's no logbook of the world for 6 months. It's just a hobby, yes, but I mean, there's guys who this is what they do every day. They're retired fellows. They wake up and that's what they do all day long.
Well, so here's a question.
And stuff. So.
Here's a question I'll pose. Let's say it does take 6 months to get this back up. Do you think Logbook of the World could survive that? Or would people migrate to something else?
They'll force it.
Right now, I think it would. That's just it. They have all control, and it's the only way to.
They're the ones handing out
DXCC and the special awards that guys who are really about it are about.
Yeah, they hand out the awards. They'll dictate what you use.
Yeah,
which is probably why
there are other options. There's EQSL. There's the QRZ awards, which are becoming very popular. That's one of my favorite things. Well, I mean, I could have got my worked all states from ARRL some time ago, and I've just not applied for it. So
well, I like the QRZ logbook, but I don't keep anything in there that I think you can actually just look it up. You can literally create your own login and go, hey, how many people did he talk to? Here's the list.
It shows you the last few. You can't really access the whole list.
Yeah, but again, and that but I don't keep anything over there. So here's a good rule of thumb. Like Google has their little auto password generator, which generates a different, just ridiculously long pile of junk for every single password, which means they're all different. So if someone gets hacked, happens to hack one, it goes nowhere else.
Right.
It's well, there's other things out there too. That
there are several companies that do that could have sponsored this video.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. And they might, I don't know, some other point. But any one of those type things that has like password vault type of stuff, it's worth your time doing that for your own security, especially if you ever go to a bank, which I can't imagine you don't connect with your bank at some point, but but it's one of those things that you've got to. I think the world is becoming the way where you should just assume everything's going to get hacked, and if you can manage dealing with the pieces that get hacked here and there, like if everything is a different password, it's less complicated overall.
I think that I would say a very high percentage of people use the same password or variations of the same password on across the board, and I think that is one of the big reasons that in the last few years we've seen two-factor or multi-factor authentication be shoved down our throats very forcefully.
Yeah,
because then it still kind of compartmentalizes any damage that's done. So, if you run Bank Z and somebody's password gets hacked somewhere else that has nothing to do with you, that your banking system is still safe because you require the multi-factor.
Yeah, setting up like multi-factor, sometimes called two-factor. Definitely worth your time.
Now, do we know why, boys and girls? What are the 3
why?
factors of authentication?
Oh, yeah, okay. So there's what you know, what you have. There can be where you're at.
I guess there's not any 3 anymore, is there?
There's more than 3. There's like 4 or 5.
The 3 big ones are what you have, what you know, what you have, and what you are.
Yeah. And where you're at, because like for example, a card for like proximity card.
Yeah. Well, you're seeing it
within a geo boundary, and
you're seeing it on iPhones now. So, like my iPhone, if you turn on the theft prevention features now, the newest ones that came out this year, it will not let you use biometrics, so facial recognition, if it doesn't, like if you're in an area either that's kind of known for high crime, or if you're in an area that it's not used to seeing you in.
Yep.
Makes sense. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the multi-factor authentication. I mean, most of us, we have our phone with us, so I always have it, and we use it for. I think almost every account I have uses multi-factor at this point, and
Right.
Yeah.
I'll keep it that way because that's even if they guess my password, that doesn't mean they can get in easily. So they have to come bean me over the head and get my phone too, and then I guess use my face to unlock it. So
Yeah. Well, let's see. I know where you live.
hey now.
No, it's one of those things. I think this in the ham radio community, they'll fix this eventually. We hope, but
It's
I
an
think they will.
interesting
I think
turning
it's
point, and we'll see if it's a turning point. If it comes back up today, it's going to be a minor thing. If it doesn't come back up for 4 months, that's a whole different thing.
yeah, that's a problem. I think that to me it should be a wake up call for the ham radio community in general to look at their what's called a cybersecurity posture. Yeah, nice big words. And your personal stuff. So, like, are your passwords secure? Do you use different pay? If you multi-bank, make sure your passwords are not the same at each. Use two-factor. Don't have the same. And Google has like tools for theirs. It's like, hey, run a check on the passwords. Are they used anywhere else in my accounts? Or they've been hacked? And it'll generate a list. Go here and change all these now.
Right, absolutely. And
Yeah,
that's
Chrome has that built into it. If you type a
it does.
password in that it recognizes as on a list somewhere, it'll flag it and say, "Hey, you should change this password."
Yeah, you need to change this now. Yeah, I have a couple it comes up with, but I've also abandoned those accounts. So I'm kind of like,
My eBay
nothing
password
there.
was like that and honest to goodness, I left it like that for over a year.
Oh yeah.
But I mean,
Oh,
nothing
darn,
bad
you buy
happened.
something for me. Yeah.
Nothing bad happened. But yeah,
Well,
I
yeah.
put every time I would log in, it would throw up that warning, and I was like, yeah.
Right.
Do as we say, not as we do.
Yeah.
Well, and then I think it's the fact that you need to, you don't want to like go insane doing this because that's not going to help you mentally and
Yeah.
certainly
So,
won't help
well,
anything else.
with
But
any
just
kind of
be
access
realistic.
control, whether you're talking about physical or like cyber control,
Yeah.
It's a balancing act between what is secure and what is tolerable.
Yeah.
Because if people get annoyed, they will find ways of bypassing it.
Oh yes. Yeah. Like I have to change my password every 5 minutes or every, like
Yeah.
sometimes like, I'll avoid where we work, but you see companies that have like, oh, you have to change your password every 30 days. And you look there's a tablet sitting next to the computer with the password on it. And everyone they've had to change and how they're changing it.
But
It's
and
just
you
kinda
see,
like,
that's the thing. If you change it that often, though, I mean, I kind of don't blame them for doing that
no,
because
that's just it.
you you can't remember. The human brain just isn't capable of remembering that many passwords.
Yeah, and then
I
also it
agree.
has to be like 16 characters long and have
Yeah.
this and this and this and this and this and blah blah blah,
Yeah.
and it just becomes like really okay. It's yeah, and
So let's place some bets. How long let's just we'll see if we're right in the end. We'll come back and revisit this at some point, hopefully. Um
hopefully not a year from now going,
I
well,
don't know how many
we
times
thought
we've
it
said
come
that.
Remember
back
that
up,
logbook of the
hey,
world thing?
Yeah. So I'm gonna say it's gonna take 4 more days to get it back online. What's your guys' guesses?
so clarification, back online or completely restored?
Yeah, that's that
Completely restored.
same thing. Ooh,
Okay, completely restored in 4 days. I'm going to say for complete restore, I'm going to go with at least 2 weeks,
you know what
maybe
I'm gonna say?
3.
I'm gonna be a wild card here. I'm going to say that a complete restore won't be possible.
And
Ooh.
that's terrifying, but I kind of
That
see that.
they will just have to start over from scratch.
That'll be bad.
I
It's actually not that bad because you can re-upload your logs, which most of us have all of our logs in
So
text
see,
format.
it's a completely plausible solution then.
But that also means all the things that have been awarded in the past, if you wanted to reflect right, all the other guys you contacted have to upload their logs, and that
Right.
probably won't happen. I'm sure I
That's
have these tabs
gonna
in my
be
logs, for example, that have been part of my awards.
Oh, I
So,
do.
Nobody's going to reload.
So
that
yeah,
whole-
I'm going to say a week, so 7 days, and no restoral of data.
Mhm. Ouch. All right.
I'm going to go.
We'll come back we'll
Yeah,
come back at some point when it's back online and see who was right. So
yeah. We'll see how long it takes. Hopefully, it's less. Hopefully, it's dramatically less, and they're able to get everything. Terrifyingly, if it's more, but
I don't envy them.
I don't
No.
either. I thought about
No.
calling up a friend of mine who works in that field, in that area, in that region, and he was one of the guys who helped with some pretty major hacks that happened out in that area, getting them back up and running. Not the hacker; he is the correcting guy.
Right.
And see if he actually knows anything about it. I didn't prior to this because I didn't want to get it's 7. Yeah, he's probably home now. I would assume he is anyway. But he doesn't live anywhere near here. He lives in DC. So I was going to ask him
Right.
Arlington. I was going to ask him if he had any thoughts on this, or if he even heard it. I mean, he usually hears about this stuff because that's the world he lives in. But he's got, I think, 7 or 8 cybersecurity certifications, and that's what he does. So yeah,
Bless his little heart.
he likes it. He gets paid a
Not for
lot of
me.
money. Of course, he's living in like the
You
most
can make a lot of
expensive
money
part
in
of
it,
the
but I'd
world.
rather code. So
Yeah.
Well, that's just it. Yeah, I'm
no,
kind of I'm
no
there with you.
desire.
I'll leave
No
that hard
desire at
thinking
all.
to other people.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this is a wake-up call generally to the ham radio community going, hey, we need to make sure that anything we produce, including radios, because some of them now do tie to the internet,
Okay,
might
so
actually
I'm
be
going to come
secure.
back to what I said earlier. For everyone, K1JT, the guy that invented FT8 and JT65 before that, and he's a professor at one of the Ivy League colleges.
Isn't he at, like,
was
Princeton or something like that?
That sounds right. I think that's the one. For everyone K1JT, there's 500. Look how cool the marquee is, and look at the GIF of the animated ham running across my webpage.
It's the hamster dance of ham radio.
You're gonna say there's only 500 for every one of him?
Yeah. Well, we only have 814 some thousand to choose from.
I'm still gonna say that number's higher.
There's a lot of really smart hams, really capable dudes who this hobby is a piece of their technical war chest. There's a whole other group where radio's the only thing they understand, and they think they understand IT, and God help us.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing about it. I mean, I think, and it kind of comes along with just, I guess, the average personality of some operators, but they're very, very intelligent people, and they know amateur radio inside and out.
Yeah.
But
absolutely,
their knowledge does not transfer over to other technical fields such as information technology or cyber awareness or cybersecurity.
Yeah,
true.
And I suppose that makes sense. I mean, I say that, and then almost every new ham I've encountered, even locally, has been in the IT field.
Well,
like that fella down in Salem, he's in IT and things like that, And
that's it's
so
really
it's just
common.
It's strange to me because I have all these interests in things, but I understand that maybe I'm just a weirdo. I have room for all these little compartmentalizations and jack of all trade stuff, and that's basically what Three Old Tech Dudes, the YouTube channel, is. So
it's
three dudes like that did that. We all have different
Real
interests,
Tech Dudes YouTube channel.
Yeah,
it's like what's the
anyway,
Spaceballs?
that's our thoughts on Logbook and cybersecurity. I do want to check in with you guys. It's been since October that we shot a video. We've released one from that set, and people didn't like it because the audio was poor, and they're like, you guys are joking too much and you're losing the point. And I'm like, don't worry about it, we're having fun. That's why we're here, and that's what you get from now on, guys. Sorry. So
well,
where the sub and unsub button is.
Look, we're just hanging out. Y'all are just along for the ride.
Yeah.
Well,
so what have you been up to? You got any new toys?
I'm
just going to ask you, what do you got, Nathan? What have you picked up lately?
Lots.
He got a literal toy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's out in the
show us that thing again. We weren't recording when you held that up.
Oh, the
realistic.
Yeah, whatever that thing is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say my gladiator. It's out. I'm not gonna hold that up. It weighs like 4,000.
I'd pay good money to see you try.
I'm sure you would. So I picked this up. This is it. Let me get back to where you see the camera. Concert. Yeah, it's a Concert Mate 200. Yeah.
I think the name is hilarious.
Oh yeah, the Concert Mate. I don't have batteries in it right now, but it's a kid's toy / calculator / simple synthesizer that allows you to advance or go back one note at a time, so you can set up a sequence, go deep, and do whatever you want to. And it was done in concert, and I can't remember back in the 80s which group did it, but it was very like 80s-esque,
but not polyphonic, right?
So here's the funny thing. No, but yes.
So if you use the sequencer, is that how you get
polyphonic? So it'll play both drums, which are analog sounds, and the note you're playing at the same time. So technically it is polyphonic, or at least dual-phonic.
That's handy.
But it says monophonic, one note at a time, but it technically does more than that, which is kind of like, okay.
Fancy.
Yeah, but it's just, I mean, it was something I was like, we had one of these when I was a kid. I don't think we had the model with the screen. We had the model that was right before or right after this, I think, without the screen. And I picked this up and I saw like a video on it. I'm like, oh, that looks fun to play with. And it was cheap. I think I paid $10 for this.
When I was a kid, I had the one that was like the size of a pack of gum.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And of course you got the Gladiator. So
yeah, I got the Gladiator.
Yeah. So I'll slide a picture of that in here, maybe. So
been spending all sorts of money.
Oh yeah, that costs a little bit, but
a little bit.
Yeah, one of the guys at work is like, about time you just sent me that money you got.
Again.
Like, thanks, Jason. Appreciate that.
Right.
And that's our cybersecurity guy who works.
There you go. And then, of course, I've got what we've already seen on the channel a few days back, the new pinball machine. I have made a lot of great progress on Little Chief this week. So,
yeah.
Like I actually finally have triggered the, I don't even know if I told you guys this. I actually put the chime box in the Arduino Uno and was able to actually trigger the 50-point switches. And have it recorded and logged. So that is my proof of concept that it's going to work, basically. So
nice.
Yeah, can't wait to see that thing when it's done.
It's going to be so awesome.
Yeah, you're really.
What about you, Justin?
Very cool though.
I don't know. Yeah, I needed another expensive hobby apparently.
Yeah, there you go.
So I bought what I'm referring to as the green monster.
A lot of people call it that.
Do they? Okay. Well, it is very green. It is very green.
It is.
I bought a Roland System 8, which is a synthesizer. We'll slap a picture up here or something because I'm not going to go get it. It's kind of big. Kind of big to just hold up. It's not very heavy, but it's kind of awkward.
Is it 4 octave or 5?
8.
8
octave? Octave. I'm sorry. It's the little guy. It's 4.
It's a 4. Okay. I thought it was 4. I couldn't remember if it was.
Yeah.
I also picked up the. Me and synthesizers, shocker. I have the DW 8000, which is actually where my laptop is sitting right now, like right here.
So since you use them as tables, we know. We love that about you.
I got my new to me. It's not new to me. I was aiming the camera over there, but that's so messy over there right now. It's just atrocious. But I've got the Roland JX 8P and was playing around with that, and that's all kinds of fun. I'm working on an 80s synth collection because I did insane, and I'm down to just a few left. I don't,
you have so many already. It's really impressive.
I'd like to point out Nathan has bought like 4 things. I bought 1.
Nathan's always had a faster pick up cool things he likes pace than the rest of us, though.
That's true.
Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's. I have a problem. It's called synthesizer addiction.
That's all right.
As long as it causes me pain. These poor 2 of them had to participate in me kicking around buying that synthesizer for like a
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. I mean, I kicked that Gladiator around for like 2 months.
Yeah, but you did it mostly quietly. I did not.
Well,
I saw Ninja Turtles pinball machine on the Facebook and bought it within 10 minutes of it being posted. So, which is unusual for me. So
the guy that I work with, who's really into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, was like, "Oh, that." He's like, "Yeah, that's the coolest thing."
Yeah, it's neat.
I showed him that lamp too, Justin.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, he was like, "Oh yeah." he likes that stuff. That's but that's like his collection is that kind of stuff. So, yeah, mine is all the most ridiculous things in the world, like synthesizers and a few ham radios here and there.
So yeah, we've just been a busy crew. We used to be able to get together about once a month and shoot videos, and that worked. But I also sometimes got a little stale and forced because it was like, let's make content. And then it was like, what do we say? What do we talk about? Who cares?
I mean, I enjoy
we get called names and stuff.
Yeah. There you go, laughing again, you laughing old biddy.
Yes, right.
I'm 52 years old at this point. I just don't care. But yeah,
there was a comment on one of our first videos.
You were at my 50th birthday party 2 years ago.
Here's what we haven't done in a while since we're chilling. How about we do some main comments?
Oh, great.
So, the very, very first year, this was like January 2019. We did a video on my Radio Shack Navajo CB I got when I was 14.
Oh, I remember that.
This guy, he comments once, and his screen name is highly attractive. It's at Farty McNuggets.
Hey,
very classy. Kind of looks like he has a big turd is his picture there or something.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
So his first comment, and this is it. The CB guys tear me up. All right. So his first comment's very friendly. It says, same here. My first base station as well in 94, 95. Was able to get about 12 watts out of it to drive a little Texas Star 600 watt mobile amp. Used it for years. Still have them. Then I assume this is later in the video. He just kept watching. He replies with a much sharper tone. You could definitely tell these are ham fools. The video is to be about this radio, but yet we're talking about everything. But I'm a ham too, have been since 98. And that's all I hear is a bunch of bored old dudes. And he spelled bored like lumber. Ham nowadays is nothing but glorified cell phones now with your repeaters, data, and bull turd emoji.
Huh.
Well, okay.
All righty then.
10-4 again, buddy.
See, how about the fact that he literally admits to a crime?
We also still watched the video, and it was one of our earliest videos. So
like
we
he literally admitted to a crime in that statement.
Oh, that'll get his ire up.
No,
it's true.
Sorry, but it is.
Guess what? You're supposed to run 4 watts on AM and 12 watts on single sideband if you even understand what single sideband means.
Yeah, and no amplifier.
All the CB guys just unsub from the channel.
Now, whether you do or not, I don't care. But
we really don't.
You reckon they said, "Well, I'm going to back on out of here"?
Oh, I don't care.
I4.
I mean,
we shouldn't poke so much fun. We all had CBs before we were ham operators.
We put some echo on this channel.
CB. Yeah.
Can you get that effect?
Roger beeps. Yeah, I'm sure I can.
Yep. I had a Radio Shack mobile 40 channel. Actually, I had a Midland 23 channel first, and then I saved up money as I was like a teenager and saved up money because I didn't have a ham license yet. And got a 40 channel Radio Shack.
I didn't even know what ham radio was when I was a kid.
Oh, I did. I so wanted to I couldn't figure out how to get a hold of any because it was like, so now you can just simply Google, how do I get my ham license? But like everything in your area here's who does testing when it does it all. Back then, there was no internet, very few computers.
Man,
and
people are mean.
Well, yeah, but
and they're almost always ham guys. Why are the ham guys so mean? All right, so I'm going to tell you something, and I don't understand because it sounds like I'm knocking on ham radio, but I am a big supporter of amateur radio, and I've tried to be a big supporter of the community around it, and I continue to be, though sometimes I question why. So went to a ham fest, sold at the Columbus Ham Fest. There's going to be a video on that down the road here.
I couldn't make
good experience, but as a seller, you get a lot of the there's one guy being real nice, and I had this old multimeter on the table, and I said, it's untested. I don't know if it works or not. And I had $20. So he looks at his grandsons with him. He goes, that means it don't work. Like, yeah, I'm out here to cheat all you poor old boys. Anyway, it probably doesn't work, So, and I don't know. It's just like there's a whole attitude. It's almost like a looking down at anybody that I don't know. I don't understand it. To contrast that, I drove to Indianapolis a hour later and went to a vintage computer expo. The friendliest, happiest people I've ever seen in my life. Like, I immediately thought of the contrast between ham radio crowd and vintage computer crowd. It was second to,
and that's
the friendliest people we ever met.
Yeah, it's like going down to.
And I know a lot of friendly hams, but there were certainly some that were kind of like, you don't know nothing.
My favorite.
I don't care what you think.
My favorite, one of your stories from that event was the laptop that you were selling, and you would not give the old boy your phone number so you could support it later.
I had some laptops that were just they had like Linux on them. They didn't have a battery power supply, and I'm like, if you use this and do this, you'll be able to log into it. And he's like, well, can I get your phone number in case it doesn't work? I go, it's a $20 laptop, bud. No, you can't.
Figure it out.
It's a fixer-upper.
It's a $20. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just such a weird world to me. I don't know, but
that is hilarious.
Disenchanted might be the right word.
Yeah, that is the reason I think that David Murray, the 8-bit guy, when he back was the iBook guy, that's why he stopped selling on eBay, is because of the ridiculousness of some of the questions, and just the people like, well, I thought this would do, pick the most absurd thing that like a 10-year-old computer would even theoretically be able to do, and they're like, how come this, this iBook, i3 iBook doesn't run Crisis or, some like, or COD or whatever, which is a Call of Duty. It's like, really? It's no, but when you get into the vintage computer community, they know these computers, whatever it may be, they're only going to run the older stuff. There
was a young man that had stayed up all night in his hotel room repairing the dead CRT on an Osborne. Nice. And he was the most excited I've seen anyone about anything in forever. He had to show me CPM on it, everything. Yep. I bet he was 19, you real young guy. And he was so fired up. And that's the kind of stuff I ran into there the whole time.
Oh yeah.
And
I love the vintage computer community.
It won out over my opinion. It won out over my opinion of the ham radio crew that day. And I know many of that crew, and I'm not knocking any of the guys. A lot of my good friends were there. Dan was there. I chatted with Dan a lot that day, but
well, Dan is a
different vibe.
But Dan
and Matt from Ellisville was there. He's a good dude. And I saw another friend of mine that recently licensed, but there was an awful lot of, I felt judged a lot. I don't understand what was going on. Maybe we'll sell this anymore.
I think I'm whippersnapper.
Well, and I think the problem that some of the ham radio community has, whereas you have people such as Dan, who are just very nice and fun to be with and fun to talk to and everything else, because they're there to have fun and just enjoy things.
Yep.
And then you have people who, for some reason, think this is like, oh, if I don't get this thing for this price and, and do this and this, then the world's come to an end. Dude, you need to calm down, man. It's
I don't think this is unique to amateur radio, though. I think people in general are like this.
Yeah. Sadly enough, I don't get it. I really don't. I mean, the whole concept that ham radio should be is a community of like-minded people in general, like not politically like-minded, but like-minded, like want to play around with ham radio, want to do the stuff in the hobby, the various pieces of it and everything like this, and just enjoy it. Instead, you get a lot of people who are just really not happy with pick
life.
A political thing. I just hate life in general. Like you go to a Hamfest thing and all you hear is them complaining about politics. I'm like, I don't care.
It takes all kinds, like they say. It takes all kinds. Yeah. Like, maybe it's a little broad, because I always had this naive look of, well, this is a bunch of really technical guys who have a lot of fun, and it's the same dudes where a dude will chase you off the repeater if it's his time to be on it every day for 30 years, I'm like,
oh yeah.
Come on.
Well, that was what got me off of CB onto ham radio, was the fact I was sitting there talking to a friend of mine who's a ham now as well. And Tim, you know him, is John Shivey.
Yeah, sure.
He and I were sitting there just chatting on CB on whatever channel it was, And this guy gets out and just like cusses up, just cusses us off the channels, like, get off my channel. This is my channel to be used like this, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. Off.
Yeah. The
I
end.
want to say it was about a month later. I'm like, get my ham license and I don't have to deal with this stupidity anymore.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, I didn't.
Yeah.
But I
It's
think actually at this point now, I don't think CB is that way. I think enough people have
nobody's
simply
using
left
it.
that hobby. Yeah, it's become more of a hobby for people just to want to talk to people. Kind of like
Yeah.
a URS become,
Mm-hmm.
which is, you could sort of call it UHF CB
Yeah, sure.
with more power.
Yeah, yeah. So,
yeah,
yeah. Good conversation, fellers.
yeah.
Indeed.
Good cover. We haven't done this in a long time. It I do think, I'm getting my ducks in a row with all the things I've got going on, and we're trying to do some more content. I don't know that we're going to be that regular like we used to be, but I think we're going to see videos that we're more passionate about, which I think makes better content in the end.
So jokingly, you're getting your ducks in a row. I literally bought a Jeep, and that's the thing they give each
Yeah,
other is ducks.
that's true. That's true. It's a Jeep thing. I don't
It's a Jeep
understand.
thing.
Um,
Well, so
Jeep thing.
here's what I've determined. Yeah, but here's what I've determined about the Jeeps community thus far is it literally is it is that it is a community, and they're hardcore trying to become a closer community. And the ducks and like the little wave thing, whatnot, like is part of it. It's like ham radio. You give each other a
sure.
QSL card in ham radio, or you give or whatever. Or in the vintage computer community, a lot of times you'll just hand out discs with like the coolest game you just created for the Commodore 64, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Same idea. It's trying to create a community. And I think I'm going to be a little, not political, but a little bit more philosophical in this. I think that is missing from a lot of people's lives is community. Instead, they want to stare at the phone all day long.
So on that, I just recently watched a video here on the YouTubes. Let's see if I can find it again.
It's
But
plural.
it was about yes, it's plural. It was about the loss of what is called third spaces and its impact on society.
Yep.
So for anyone who doesn't know, your first space is home, your second space is work. Third space are community areas like shopping malls were, churches, any place where you would gather spontaneously, more or less, and gain a sense of community. And those spaces are going away. And it's not really, it's just society has changed so much. It's not like they just went away because somebody was mean and took them away. They went away because they weren't being utilized.
Yeah, and I think 2020 made that.
2020 did not help it. COVID didn't help.
Accelerated it, I think.
It did. I mean, like, so I love malls. I absolutely love malls. I love the concept of malls. But most malls today that you go into are just sad if they still exist at all.
Yeah. There's no, so, and I'm the same way. I love, when I was a kid, we had this mall.
Is that an actual vintage shirt from?
No. It's one
okay.
that DNA does.
Okay, I was excited for a moment.
No, the same place that makes our shirts.
Okay,
it's their classic Bedford collection or something. Anyway, but that mall had Walden Books, bookstore, had Radio Shack, electronics store. It had Sound Shop, music store. It had one of the music store. They're the one that's actually in a mall in Bloomington right now. The music store out of that, but they had the music store. They had a music store for like actual synthesizers. In fact, it's under a pile of stuff over there, over that way. But I've got a keyboard that I bought from there, an actual synth, or I didn't. Dad did for me, but But there was JCPenney, and so the anchors are JCPenney and Kmart. Excuse me. And there was a jewelry store. There was arcade. Jungle Jim's Arcade, and there was Pizza Place. It was Noble Romans. And when I was a kid, that place was the most fun place to go for that kind of stuff, if you want, and you go in there, and of course, they had, the water fountain going all the time. It was pretty, and there was a place to get hot dogs or whatever there. But it's now where Lowe's is at.
Right.
Which I don't, I'm not bashing Lowe's. Lowe's is fine, but it's just one of those things. It's like,
but before it was Lowe's, though. I mean, I didn't experience the Stone City Mall that you experienced. My only experience with it was when it was in its saddest state, where it was basically a gathering of banks.
Yep. Yeah, it was. That's true.
Yeah, banks, and it was a used furniture place. I think was in there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
There was a computer store rather, that was in there. When I was a kid, we're talking like 81, 82-ish time frame going forward, whatever. There was all kinds of fun things in there. There was a fun place to be, and you don't have that. And like in Bedford right now, I'm trying to think, because so I'm in Bedford, Tim's close, Justin's close. They're not in Bedford, but in Bedford, Indiana, there just aren't that many things to do. There is putt golf again, or not putt, but it's a mini golf. But what else? You can hang out at the Walmart or Walmarts.
The Walmarts. It's got to be plural.
It's got to be plural.
Arcade at my house.
Yeah. We could go to Timmy's.
But so
I'm not going to tell you where it's at, though.
The issue isn't that like no mean person came and took these places away. They just weren't being utilized, and that's why they closed.
They faded away over time, and
I think that a lot of people, they think back about experiences like you were talking, and they're like, well, somebody should do something about that. Well, what are you going to do?
Nothing for young people do around here.
It's not a situation where if you build it, they will come. That's proven to not be the case.
Yeah,
they built it. They came for a minute and quit coming.
Yeah, they built it. They came and then they left.
Well, I think that's
couldn't pay the lease.
So I feel for places like Simon Properties, who's the one that owns the Bloomington Mall and a lot of other malls. And I think I'm not trying to say they're good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just saying it appears to me that they're trying to revive malls in certain areas, and more power to them, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, a little bit more Nathan's philosophy, losing Radio Shack from the standpoint of having an electronics store to go to get actual electronic stuff. So to like Radio Shack from like the 80s, when you could buy stereo components like what I have sitting over here, or speakers that I have over there, or ham radio equipment or whatever.
Arguably overpriced components, but continue.
Somewhat, but their higher end gear was actually really good. It wasn't junk.
Oh, I'm not arguing about the quality,
but yeah, it was expensive. I will give you that. But I have a set of their Mach 1 speakers, and I still got to get them fixed. But it's one of those things that I remember those as a kid. They were amazing sounding speakers. Mind you, everyone is typically listening to a boombox at the time, so anything's better. But there's no electronics store that I'm aware of, short of Target in the Bloomington Mall, for example. It's the closest mall here. That's an indoor mall.
I think the mall era is over. What you have to do, and it is more challenging, honestly, is get very internet savvy, which is challenging for some folks, but I have had great success finding anything I needed from a Radio Shack years ago online nearly immediately, no matter what. So I've bought feds for Little Chief. I've bought parts for this pinball machine. It's blown my mind how many places make parts for these pinball machines.
Oh yeah.
And the company who made this pinball machine has not existed in any form since 1998. So you can still get almost every component. Some of you got to shovel some money out. No, Data East.
Data East, okay.
Which was the successor to the original Stern, which had been the successor to Chicago Coin. And then Data East was bought by Sega, and then they realized they weren't making any money in 1998 and closed it. And they actually sold the asset to guess who? Stern. The Stern that's around today. So technically that's still the same company. Whew. Well, I'll tell you what, fellas, we better wrap it up on that one.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Hey, till next time, I'm Timmy.
I'm Justin.
I'm Nathan.
This is 3 Old Tech Dudes. Thanks for hanging out with us here on 3 Old Tech Dudes. Please subscribe to us here on YouTube for more tech old and new, tinkering at the workbench, repairs, ham radio, electronics, computers, and more. Please like this video and share 3OTD with your friends to help us grow the channel. We tweet at 3 Old Tech Dudes 1 on Twitter, and you can keep up with us on Facebook. Just search for 3OTD and look for our logo. Thanks so much for watching.